Squawks. Joining us now to respond, House Budget Committee member and Indiana Republican Luke Messer. Congressman, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Sarah. Thanks for having me.
Well, certainly the White House has been very vocal. We heard from the Treasury Secretary at Delivering Alpha. He's penning this op-ed. The president speaking to us last week. What is the Republican response? Is there a unified way that the Republicans had to deal with these corporate tax inversions?
Well, I mean, no one's going to defend this corporate tax loophole. The real question, though, is what we need to do is eliminate the incentive for companies to do this by lowering America's corporate tax rate, by making it competitive with the rest of the world. That's the real answer, frankly, not throwing stones at American business.
But that could take a while, and clearly things aren't moving very fast on Capitol Hill. You know that. There's great division. The corporate tax code it's going to be an ambitious thing to tackle. So why not just put an end to the loophole, as you say, if you are against it, maybe not retroactively like the president suggests, but do something about it more imminently as we continue to see these deals ramp up.
Yeah, let me give you a compromise right now that might be able to get done. One, change that loophole. Two, let's allow the repatriation of dollars earned overseas. Allow American companies to bring that back and invest those dollars in America without a tax penalty. You know, a deal that put those two together would make a big difference for our economy and deal with some real challenges. What we need, though, is a president that's going to lead and make clear that America's corporate tax rate should be competitive with the rest of the world. And frankly, I don't think we should wait for the long-term hope of individual tax reform before we make that corporate tax law change.
You know, Congressman, on the repatriation idea, you know, many corporations keep huge amounts of cash overseas for the very reason that many say they're waiting for that holiday that may come. But then we look back when it was done a number of years ago, and it did not produce, certainly on the jobs front, the hopes that might have been expected. It ended up being a lot more for return of capital to shareholders and didn't really do a lot to prod the economy.
Well, what you're talking about is a temporary change. I would like to see one that's permanent. I can tell you, as I talk to business leaders, they're excited about the opportunity to bring manufacturing back to America. And I believe if we had those dollars, we had the ability for companies to bring those dollars back in America, have them invested here, you would have the opportunity with some of the near-term advantages we've had with our improvements and our competitiveness of our energy infrastructure, that we could create jobs if we allowed those dollars to come back.
Congressman, when you call for better leadership from the president, are you prepared to follow? When he did an interview with our network last week, he suggested very clearly that there should be a surgical piece of legislation that basically said that the foreign requirement of ownership should rise from 20% of shares outstanding to 50%. And he asked that Congress actually put that through. If the president asks you to do that, why will you not put that through? Why do you have to attempt to link it to other things that are unpalatable? Why play politics? Because this tax revenue is going to be lost forever. As these companies invert, they will never come back into the American tax domicile.
Well, laced in your question is the implicit belief that in a modern economy we can somehow hold American businesses hostage. That's not a long-term answer. What we've got to do is structure a set of policies that deal with the fact that America's corporate tax rate is not competitive in the global economy. What we ought to be doing is lowering that corporate tax rate so that these businesses can thrive and survive right here in America. And somehow trying to throw bars up. Companies pay a lot of smart lawyers and regulators, they'll find another loophole, even if you close this.
With respect, Congressman, it's not the effective corporate tax rate. The effective corporate tax rate for these, on average, across this country is actually very competitive. What they actually pay is actually very competitive. It's the fact that wherever they earn dollars around the world, they're taxed. That's the issue. But that's also true for personal taxation. Wherever an American works around the world, they also have to pay tax back to the IRS here in the United States. Are you prepared to do this on behalf of individuals as well?
Oh, sure. I think we should do both. I mean, we shouldn't penalize folks that earn money overseas. We ought to be encouraging them to come back and invest those dollars in America, not penalizing them for doing it.
Is there any legislation you would sign on to proposed by the Democrats to try to limit these inversions without talking about a corporate tax holiday?
Well, I'd have to see the legislation. I mean, nobody's defending this loophole. It's not good for America. Many of the companies that are involved in it, you hear them say they lament the fact that they're put in this situation. They'd like America's corporate tax rate to be competitive. You know, my question is, though, is what's the right way to approach this issue? Somehow try to lock American companies here and force them to not be able to have the flexibility they need to be profitable, or to do the right thing, which is drop the corporate tax rate for every American business and make a big difference for our economy.
It just seems that the two sides are so far apart. They both agree that it's a loophole and it should be stopped, but nobody has a solution. And so investment bankers that tell their companies to go ahead and do these deals are right.
Yeah, I mean, it's a disappointing situation. Okay. We need a president who leads to try to make America more competitive.
All right. Thank you for your time, Congressman. Congressman Luke Messer, Republican from Indiana, responding to Jack Lew.